And we are live. What up, players? Welcome to episode 215 of Player Life. It is Tuesday, the 8th of February, here in Tokyo, Japan. And today, we're going to talk about, does body count matter? Well, but before we get into that, yeah, it feels like I think, yeah, it's been a week since I did a live stream. Um, Mainly due to degeneracy. Not gonna lie. Yeah, but yeah, I missed last Friday because I was out all night on Thursday night. Funny story actually. So, um, you know, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to my content at all. You kind of know that I'm a proponent of the idea that as a guy, you shouldn't really compromise on when arranging the date, time, location. Well, time and things like that you can compromise, but the location especially the location, you should always be deciding the date, location. um but occasionally I will make exceptions to the rule in a circumstance where it's like I'm kind of, I don't have anything. Like I'm kind of free. I don't have anything to do. It's reasonably convenient. So anyway, long story short, I went. Yeah, I kind of broke my rule on Thursday, but yeah, I went to meet this girl like at a spot. It wasn't too far anyway, but you know, it's called Shibuya. I went to meet her here, even though it's not in my direct locality. And yeah, funny thing is, she stubbed me up. So she stubbed me up on Thursday, like literally stood up. Like she just, you know, she just didn't come and she didn't message me. Yeah, she's for the streets. She's for the streets for life. Karma's gonna hit her in the face. You know, um, yeah, but karma comes back. But I believe in karma. But anyway, karma's already getting to these hoes. They're already, But anyway, so it's fine. Game has a way. Game has a way. But it's funny. I don't know. It's funny. Like it's just my own. Rule is. But 99% of the time I adhere to my own rule like that. But occasionally I break it, and the one time I compromise, the one time females show me, show the world, this that you can't compromise with these hoes. You can't do it. It's just not. Um. But yeah, well, I wasn't honestly. I mean, obviously it's annoying, but you know, I I mean, I always go on. If I ever arrange a date with a girl, a date, or even if it's in my locality, like I always like, yeah, I never ever like at this point I don't get excited about dates. Like I've just done too many of them. I mean, of course I'm excited to meet a hot girl, but I'm not like, oh my god, I'm going on a date. No, it's not like that. So I always expect them to flake almost. So like I really don't care. It's just it's just one of those things. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said, oh, I don't care if someone flakes on me. Of course, I'm not. Of course, I care if someone flakes on me. It pisses me off, right? It should piss everyone off. But what I'm saying is, it's almost to be expected. But yeah, and it wasn't a flake; it was getting stood up. So yeah, she's for the streets for life. She's obviously a dumb bitch. Yeah, fuck her. I mean, just I wouldn't, Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just someone who does that, like is a real piece of shit. Like it's just a garbage piece of shit. Like who gets off to something like that? But yeah, obviously damaged individuals. But whatever. But I was out anyway, so I was looking good. You know, um, dressed well. So I was like, fuck it, gonna do some game. Um, so I ended up. um, I ended up just doing some game. I went to some bars, I went to some clubs. I mean, it was kind of like in at the nighttime. So, um, yeah, I met a lot. I went out all night pretty much, and I met a lot of girls. But it was funny. I was nothing too crazy happened all night, but I was catching the train home, and I was on my way to the station, and I see these two girls, and I just opened them. I don't know. I don't know why. They looked like good girls to open. So they were kind of hot. So they were receptive, and I thought they were heading to the station. So I thought, I'll just get their number because it looks like they're going to be going together, or going to be splitting up. So I exchanged contacts with the girl, one of the girls, that was more receptive, and then suddenly her friend veers off, and she says, "Oh, she hugs her friend and says goodbye," and then turns out her friend was taking the same line as me, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to shoot my shot now because she's taking the same line as me, and my stop was only 2 stops away, which is like 5 minutes, and then so I'm waiting on the train platform, and I said to her, "Yo, you should come back to my place." And she said, she just kind of brushed it off. And then a train arrives right after that. A door opens. It's kind of packed, and she goes and just kind of sits down. And she kind of waved at me, but I presume since like she kind of got away from me, and sat down in on a crowded seat. So I was like, okay, she's not gonna come with me. That's it. So I put in my earphones, walked to the other end of the train. But I had already exchanged contacts with her. But yeah, like just she sent me a sticker like while she was sitting down. So I was like, oh, maybe she's reconsidering the offer. So I say, get off at the next station. So there was really no time to think. It was like she's either coming or she's not. So um anyway, yeah, she said, "Oh, should I?" And I was like, "Yes, get out." Like in message form. I looked, yeah, I could see her from the other end, and I just pointed to the door and I said, get off at this stop." She stood up and got off, and she came home with me. We smashed, had a good time. So game has a way. Game has a way. Don't give up. Even if you get stood up. The funny thing is, I mean, she was younger and hotter than the girl who stood me up. So, um, it's just funny. I mean, game has a way, man, and this happened, you know, randomly. I was literally on my way home. I was about 3 minutes, 2 minutes from getting to the train station, like to go home. And then I just saw these two girls, and one of them ended up coming with me. So I don't know. Well, you always got to have your game hat on, man. You don't take the game hat off because there's so many opportunities out there. There's always going to be so many opportunities to score girls. Like so, yeah. But it's I think before when I was blue pilled, if I got stood up before, like if a girl stood me up, it probably would have bothered me for like it probably would have just bothered it would have bothered me like way more. Not that it doesn't bother me now. Of course, if a girl stands me up, it's fucking annoying. It's rude. Who doesn't? But you kind of almost expect, like when you go and meet a girl, you should almost expect that they're gonna like stand you up or flake on you. Like you should have a plan B, a plan C. Like what I'm gonna do. You can't bank on these hoes. Like they just don't give a fuck about your time. They just don't give a fuck. Some of these girls do it like maliciously, and some of them do it non-maliciously. Some of them just like literally don't think about anything other than themselves. It's like in their nature to do it. Like they're just not thinking about the outside world. They're just like concerned with themselves, like their own dirty little gain. Like they don't give a fuck about you or your time. That's why as a man, you have to be a savage. Like you have to be a savage regarding, you know, just your time. And you know, this is why you like, this is why you're unapologetic about getting, you know, trying to get laid on the first date. Like be unapologetic about it. Like be unapologetic about, you know, being efficient, you know, being like, you know, get requiring the girls to come to the location of your choice. Because if you don't play this game, like I really genuinely believe girls lose respect for you before they even meet you. Well, you know, they might have met you from dating, but if it's online or something, you know. My point is, the more you concede, the more you compromise with them, the more like you go 50-50, the more you're like, okay, I'll meet you here, okay, this, that, and the other, the less respect they have. I swear to God, like I really believe that. They just start to respect you less. They're like, this guy's, you know, the nicer you are, the more you like, you know, she says, "Oh, that's too far. I can't come there." And then you say, "Oh, well, where can you come?" And she says it's somewhere, and then you go. You said, "Okay, yeah, let's meet there. Let's have dinner there." Then like they just think, "Oh, this guy's a pussy," yeah. And like it's just, yeah, no, it's like the cold hard truth. It really, really is. Like it's like, you know, there's some truth to what was it Trump said? Women, you got to treat them like shit. There's some truth to it. It just has to be on your own terms. Like they have to enter your frame for the most part. Um, and it's so funny because it's like the exact opposite of what they want. Women are like, "Oh, I just want a guy to, you know, take me on a nice dinner date, and I just want to get to know him and express our feelings and talk." And you know, it's like, nah. If you compromise as a man, you're on a losing path. You're on the losing path with these women. I swear to God, it's like, yeah, it's true. But like I said, like this is like I really rarely, like I can't even remember the last time I went to meet a girl that didn't come to my location. But full transparency. I'm being honest. Like I'm being fully honest. Like she actually stood me up, and it proves my point. Like it proves, like it proves my whole idea, my whole philosophy around dating, around dating these chicks. It's just not worth it. And the only reason I did, actually, like I said, I just had free time. I was like, it was kind of a last minute thing. I kind of wanted to get out anyway. I wanted to go out. um I was, yeah. So I just wanted, but anyway, but it worked out. Funny, it worked out, like literally it worked out better. Like if it worked out better than if she had shown up, if that hoe had shown up to meet me, it wouldn't have been as good. Because first of all, it might not she probability says I wouldn't have smashed her, because that's another one of my understandings of game is, whenever they refuse to cooperate, or from the start, and you go and compromise and meet them in different location, the chances of successfully banging significantly decrease. Like they're So yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, and I ended up meeting a younger, hotter girl. So it all worked out. But yeah, so that was Thursday. You know, went out went out Saturday night again with a friend. More degeneracy, more stories there. Um oh man, Tokyo is just such a crazy spot, man. Good lord. Good lord. Um yeah, Saturday night. God, it was we met so many girls on Saturday night. Um Saturday night, and then yesterday. So yeah, it's been quite a degenerate time. But yeah, today, back to the topic at hand. Um Yeah, body count. Does body count matter? And for a chick, I think for chicks, I think body count definitely matters. Like definitely. And yeah, and it's like you got, you'd say, people criticize me, would criticize me. Oh, but you're a hypocrite. You bang all these girls, and you're you know, you you have a very high body count, very high notch count, and so why can't women have very high notch counts? And and the reason is because men and women are not the same. We're not equal. We're not the same, and I make no apologies for saying that. We're not the same. Like, why would I apologize? We're just not? You know, it's like some cars need diesel, some cars need petrol. I mean, they're two different things, right? Men and women need different things sometimes, because we're different. We're different creatures, different creatures. We're different. Like it's just, I don't know why suddenly that just became controversial in the last decade or so. Like, obviously in the last couple of years, very much so. But up until recent times, I think in all throughout history, it was never a controversial thing. These idiots talk about, oh, gender is a social construct, and it's like, no, this whole fucking you know idea that there's like a million genders, that's the social construct. You idiots, you fucking idiots, man. Good lord. So yeah, and I make men and women are different. Men can have perfectly, be perfectly healthy, normal, happy individuals with very high notch counts. It's not going to, in fact, it might even boost your self esteem. You might even, you'll probably be more of a confident. I would argue that you'll be more confident. You'll be more satisfied with your life if you have a high notch count as a man. It's in our nature. It's in our nature to have high notch, to want to have high notch counts. It's not even that you want to have a high notch count. It sounds stupid when you say it like that. It's just that you want to bang a lot of women. It's not like, oh, I need to bang 50 women, and I need to get, oh, no, it's just like, I like men in general, for the vast majority of men, like to bang, like to have sex. Like, even they like to have sex. It's just like, it's yeah, it's not weird. It's just so natural. It's a natural thing. What's not natural, in my opinion, is like monogamy for a man. And I mean, if that's what you want to do as a man, it's fine, do it. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but it's up to you. But I'm just saying, I don't think that's the natural state for a man. I just don't see that as being a natural state. Just being with one woman for the rest of your life, like, literally only having sex with one woman. It's like very unsustainable too. It's like, the older you get, you start to realize that that's a Disney fairy tale shit. It's literally like, it's pretty much like celibacy after a while. Like, I imagine, because I've never. I mean, I've done, like, when I was blue pilled. I mean, I was in relationships where I didn't cheat for, like, I think the longest I probably did was without cheating, being with one woman, was for a year. Probably. Yeah. Probably a year. And then, man, like, I remember even back then, when I was like, this was like years ago, like, I don't know, a year. The time I actually didn't cheat and I was in a relationship, I remember just, seeing near the end of that year, I was like, you'd look at other chicks and you'd be like, God damn, like, and sometimes they wouldn't have even been as hot as the girlfriend I had at the time, but it would just be like, God damn, I just want to bang another girl, I just want to try a different flavor, I want to get, variety is the spice of life, I want to try something new, man, and it was like, man. So I can't imagine, like, can't imagine 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years with one woman. Get the fuck out of here. There's no amount of fucking like spicing it up with like red panty night, nothing like that. Nothing is gonna spice it up like after a while. I'm telling you. Like I don't know. I think near if you're gonna be having sex after 15 years with a girl that you've been with, it's pretty much gonna be like just like sport. Like there's gonna be no mental turn on. There's gonna be no, like, you're literally doing nothing like taboo or it's. I think a lot of like a lot of the turn on for sex is that it's like it's taboo. Like it should be a little bit taboo. It shouldn't be this clean, like this, like sterile, like, oh, perfectly safe, like, oh, it's all, it's all perfectly above board. It should be like dirty, like taboo kind of shit. If yeah, but after you've married, you've banged a girl, you've banged a girl, like, you know if you've been married, if you've been with her like for years, you've banged her like thousands of times, thousands and thousands of times. So then it's just gonna be like, this is just like fucking, this is just not interesting anymore. I know every. Yeah, you get my point. You get my point. It's just like for men, it's like, especially for men, especially from like, it's just, we don't have the consequence. Like we can, we can father thousands of kids technically. There's no consequence other than STDs, like, and responsibility for kids. But yeah, but we don't have to have the burden of that responsibility on our bodies, like in terms of giving birth to kids. Like women have, like, literally, they can literally get pregnant, like, and have the burden of like it's a huge deal. Like sex is just a much bigger deal for chicks. Like it's just a much bigger deal. And like, man, it's only like, when the fuck, like, is it, when was the birth control pill invented? Like when was that? Was it 1960? It's not that. Anyway, it's not that. I don't know the exact date, but it's really not that long. It's really not. Like, it's in terms of, it's really like a new thing. Um, uh, Riley in the house says, "What's good, Mac?" I say no on this, in my opinion. Um, you know, I mean, yeah. So, um, yeah. I mean, I think body count definitely. Um, Riley says no. I mean, I don't know. I think body count for a chick. Um, I think it does matter, actually. Yeah, I think it does matter because men and women are different. Um, Dane in the house, Dane Erickson says, if she doesn't agree to meeting at the location you first mentioned, it's better to just cancel the date most often. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. You know, I agree. That's what I usually go by. But occasionally, like I said, occasionally I break my rule, and it's just funny. It's just hilarious. Like, I literally, like, haven't met a girl that hasn't come to my location in the longest time. Like, I just don't do it. It's all like it. And the one time I do it, she stands me up. She start like, it's like, this is why, like, but it just reaffirmed my whole philosophy, my whole idea, my whole strategy. My strategy is perfect. Like, I have a perfect dating strategy. It's like, there's no need to change it. But it's just like, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm right. These, girls, the nicer you are to them, the more you do for them, the more they disrespect you. Like, yeah. So yeah, in general, I would. Yeah. Um. And yeah. But back to the topic at hand. You know, yeah. So I mean, body count for women does matter because it has more of a consequence for them. So in evolutionarily speaking, like, the birth control is just like a tiny, like a blip, man. It's such a new thing. It's a brand new thing. So, that's it's obviously deeply ingrained into female psychology that, that sex is a big deal. It's a big deal because it can really alter the shape of their lives, like in a big way. They can, suddenly have to be responsible for raising a child. Not only raising a child, but even like the process of you know growing a baby inside their belly and then giving birth to it, which, you know in the past was almost like, it was such a huge deal because it was also, women were deemed, they needed to be looked after during those, especially during the 9 months that they're, growing the baby inside their bodies. Like they need help of men. So that's why, like, it was really, they guarded their sexuality so intensely. And it's obviously still left over, even though there's so much promiscuity, there's so much sex happening. Like, there's females still have a very high guard. Like, they still, like, compared to men, it's like chalk and cheese. It really is. Like, it really is. It's like these, around getting, and they're having a lot of sex. Trust me. But compared to the desire to men, it's just different. And that's the ironic thing about it. That's the fucking hilarious thing about it. It's like men have a much stronger thirst for sex, like a much stronger thirst for sex. Women don't have a strong a thirst for sex, yet they're the ones that are having more sex than men. That's the funny thing. And I'm not saying they don't. They do. I'm not saying that they don't have any desire for sex. They do, but it's just different. It's different. It operates differently, and they usually have sex for different reasons. But it's not as like a man's desire for sex is like, you know if he's reasonably healthy, if he's a healthy man, it's pretty steady. He should have a pretty steady, like, every day he's pretty much going to want to bang. Like, I mean, he's going to have some desire to bang, like but women don't operate like that. They don't go out into the world like looking for dick. They don't go out, looking around, looking at guys' crotches, thinking, "Oh, I'd love to suck on a dick today." They don't. They don't really think like that. Some do. I'm sure some do, but um, Matt W in house. What's up, man? What is good? Dane says body count does matter. A key that can open any lock is a master key. A lock that opens for any key is a shitty lock. Men and women are different. A different degree. Yeah, I mean, it's been said time and time again. It's a perfect analogy for it. It really is. Um, just biologically, even we're just different. Like, all this shite we're told by the mainstream media that men and women, oh, we're all equal. We're all one big, we're all just fucking blank slates. We're all the exact same. It's like, what the fuck? Like, it's just like being lied to your face. It's just ridiculous. Like, it's insane. It's like holding a pen and saying, "Oh, here's a gun." Hey, dude, no, it's a pen. That's what they're telling us. Like, men and women are equal. It's like saying, "Oh, look, I have a gun in my hand." No, dude, that's a pen. Like, "Oh no, it's a gun. It's a gun." There's like, that's what the mainstream media is saying. It's like, okay, you're just lying to me. Like, what? What are you doing? Well, what are you doing? Why are you lying? Why are you just telling me lies? I can see that you're holding a pen. It's not a gun. that's that's what's going on, man. I don't know. Matt says women have a high thirst only for one man or type of personality in a man. In different ones she runs through. Men have thirst all the time for all types as long as they're looking decent enough. Yeah, pretty high, pretty factual right there. The only thing I notice is like with low T guys, like low T guys are the only guys that don't have a lot of thirst. And I noticed that like low T guys can be very picky, like picky eaters. Like a high testosterone man, like a guy with high T, healthy. These guys like that will almost fuck anything. Usually they don't have to, because high T guys usually are very productive, successful, stuff like that. So they're able to source decent or hot girls. But if push comes to shove, like a high T guy is going to get sex when push comes to shove. Like he's going to find it somehow, and you know they'll punch down. But I notice the guys that are like the pickiest, like when a guy is really picky, like he's really like it's usually he probably has low T. Like he's probably like, you know when he's like, she's like, you know too picky. But guys that are really like, savages, they're gonna get sex. Like they're gonna get sex by any means. Like, um Farhan says, "Hey Mac, long time no see. Does body count matter to you?" I mean, when it comes to sex, I don't give a fuck. Like, honestly, like it doesn't matter when sourcing a partner to have sex with. But if it comes to sourcing a partner for a relationship, for a girlfriend, for wife material, then it absolutely matters 100%. It just does. It's like, it's just not a good thing, to get into a relationship with a girl that has a high body count. It's just not. It's not smart. It's not smart. Like the probability says, what makes you think if a girl has a high body count, what makes you think the body count is going to stop with you? You know, it's really simple in a way, because men and women are just different, right? So when when a man hooks up with a girl and has sex with her, um, he somewhat, you know, he doesn't necessarily grow attached to that woman. He doesn't necessarily, like, there are I guess, I think at this, when you first start having, when you're young, when you first start having sex, you're more likely to be more attached to the girl, like after you bang them. Like you're gonna have some little bit of attachment, but compared to a woman, it's completely different. um you know it's just different. So like, when a woman has sex with a man, it's basically, they should be growing attached to that man. you know so like, every time, every partner, that like the strength of that attachment becomes less and less. you know um there's multiple factors too, but it's also a thing that, like, if a woman has a high body count, like the probability of you being her best is also less. And due to women's hypergamous nature, like, if there were guys that were better than you, like that slipped the dick before you, and you're then getting into a relationship with a woman like that, that's fucking problematic. That's very problematic, because she's going to remember those guys. She's definitely going to remember those guys. It's like a harsh red pill truth. Like, and those guys could have been dickheads to her. They could have been, just pumped the fuck out of her and dumped her. But if they had like incredible sex, if they made her come in a certain way, like if they did something, she's gonna remember those guys. Like, that's a problem. That is a problem. Like, it really is. Like, it really is a problem, because she's always gonna be thinking about better, like guys that made her feel a certain way. It's a problem, especially if you're getting in a relationship with a girl. That's a big problem. You can't have that. You need a girl that sees you as her best. And as a rational man, you know that there's like most likely are better guys out there than you. Like as a rational man, like you're like, okay, there's probably, you can't be the best at everything. But with a girl that you're getting into a relationship, you have to have been her best. You have to. You just have to. So that's why it's like the more sexual partners a woman has, the less likely you are to have been her best. That's just probability. That's just mathematics. That's just the way it is. Um, yeah. So that's why, Um, Matt says low T guys are usually overweight or skinny fat, pudgy, love gaming more than living real life, and use the I think she wants me, but I'd rather be her friend. Then they are moodier than females. Um, skinny fat, yeah. God, you know, yeah. I mean, low T, like, yeah, being too picky, like, yeah. I think guys are better off. Like if guys don't have a strong desire to fuck, like then yeah, you probably have low T. If you're a guy and you don't have a strong desire to fuck, like, and it's like shit, and you're not willing to punch down, you probably have low T. You probably have low T. I mean, there's guys. It's a pretty dark subject, but I mean, straight alpha men go to prison and end up fucking other men because like they just have to fuck. Like, I mean, that's how heavy a man's desire to have sex is. It's pretty dark, but like that actually happens. Like straight men end up in prison fucking other guys. Like that's how fucking that's how strong like some guys' testosterone is. But so if you're out in the free world and you as a straight man and you're like you haven't fucked in months or a year and you're like you're waiting for a 10 or you're thinking you're waiting for your perfect woman, it's like yeah, you're never gonna yeah, you're never gonna live the player lifestyle. That's what I'm saying. Like you're never gonna be a player because you always want to be as a man. You always want to be having sex. Like you always because you women know when guys are having sex. Like they just know. It's like I've talked about this before, and someone I got criticized for being like someone said I was being like all was I don't know, all airy fairy about it, esoterical. Like but women can sense it. Like women know when you're having sex or not. And if you're not having sex, they like this guy probably. If I do have sex with him, it's probably not going to be that good. They're pretty subconsciously they're kind of thinking like that, because they want to feel desired. Like they want to feel like a genuine desire. They want to feel that like kind of like passion from a man. Like um Matt says, on the carnivore diet over the last 2 months, my sex drive and load volume has doubled, but my control of the urge is easier. I'm digging it. Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Um, I've noticed low T guys are foodies and crave sweets and eating out all the time. It stands out like a sore thumb to me now. It's detrimental that they stopped that first before worrying about chicks. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, one of my good friends in Tokyo, he's like he is in his 40s and he cut out all sugar, all kind of fast food, all that shit. And he said he's in well, first of all, he's in amazing shape, but he told me like he's in better shape than he was even when he used to be a professional athlete. He's a professional volleyball player. Um, has competed around the world, and he's in better shape now in his 40s than he was when he was in a professional volleyball player. I believe it too, because diet is like massive, man. Cutting out sweets and all that shit. I mean, that's something I should do. Luckily, I can handle the sugar at this point, but it's still not good. Um. Uh. Yeah, I mean, cut out junk food. It's definitely gonna increase your sex drive. It's all a lot of it's very just common sense as well. Makes sense, It's like if you eat junk food, you're most likely gonna feel like junk, right? Um, but let me share this video. Let's see what this chick has to say about body count. See if I agree or disagree with her.
New here. I'm Courtney Ryan, and today I have a very hot topic to talk about, and that is body count. And the reason why I decided to make a video about this is because probably every day I get questions that say, Courtney, what are your opinions on body count? Courtney, what do I do if this girl has a high body count? Courtney, what do I do for this? What do I do for that? What do you think about body count? So today I'm going to go over body count and what I think about it. And I'm also going to touch on hookup culture as well, because obviously the two go hand in hand. So when we're talking about body count here, there's a ton of different things to consider, but I want to start with the most obvious one. My point number one being, it's up to you. If body count matters to you, that's totally fine. If body count doesn't matter to you, that's fine too. This is a very personal thing. Sex and intimacy and hookups are a very personal thing. So if you're not okay with the person you're with sleeping with a ton of people before you, then that's your opinion and that's okay. You're allowed to think that. I've heard a lot of women say things like, a real man wouldn't care about body count. And I simply have to disagree with that. It's a preference.
I mean, it's really fucking hilarious when women say that shit like that. A real man this, a real man that. Well, how the fuck are they deciding what a real man is? They don't fucking know what a real man is or what a real man desires. Okay? So how the fuck can they yeah, they don't understand what it's like. They'll never understand what it's like to be a man. They'll never understand what like they just never understand what it does to like what like they some of them understand it, but they never truly understand it. They'll never be able to experience what it's like, for a man to like be, to be turned on by a woman, to have that sexual urge for a woman. But it's like a real man wouldn't care. I mean, like I said, I don't care. Like a woman having a high body count doesn't actually, in terms of just wanting to hook up with her, it's like I don't really care that much. Like, but that's just a totally different ball game from dating, from relationship dating, wife material. It's a completely different topic. I talk about it all the time. Where I said, there's a huge difference between dateability and fuckability. I'll fuck someone, I'll never date them. Or things like that. It's just they're two different things. Mm.
Friends, just like anything else, that are based on the decisions that someone has made. So that would be like saying a real woman doesn't care about how much money a guy makes. Well, that's a preference, just like anything else that had decisions the guy made that led up to how much money he's making, most likely. And I know those comparisons aren't necessarily identical, because when you make the decision to sleep with someone, you sleep with them. That's kind of the end of it. But a guy can make a decision to, be a lawyer, and something could not work out, or he might not make as much money as someone else. So there's a ton of other factors that go into the second example I gave there. But when you're making decisions to sleep with people, you're just sleeping with people. That's another number onto your body count. And that's really all there is to it. There's not really anything else that goes into it. It's as simple as that. So
No, it's not as simple as that. No, it's not. The reason it's not as simple for men, it is like for men, it's as simple as that. It's just literal. It's just pleasure. It's fun. It's like it's more than that though. It's in our it's deeply ingrained into our psychology as men to want to have sex. So it's like it's literally it's so deeply ingrained. But for women, it's not just that because There's other factors involved. It's the more, like I already explained, the more men they've been with, it's like the more, it's just like the more, like when it comes to you getting, getting into a relationship with a woman like that, the probability of you being the best guy up to that point, it gets less and less with every man that she's been with. So if she's been with 5 guys, then you have a certain probability of being her best. Like, you have a good chance, I would say. If you know how to fuck, and this, that, and the other. If she's been with 10, it gets less. There's just, she's bound to, then 20, then 30. It's just like the chance of you being her best are just so much less. The more, it's not uncommon for girls to have notch counts of like 50, 100, 200. Man, I swear to God, I met this girl um at a party, and she said she was 22, and I'm not fucking lying. I swear to God, she said she had a notch count of like of over 200, 200 guys. Like, what the fuck? Like, 22 years old, man. Holy shit. And her chances of her getting in a long term relationship, it's like being able to maintain a long term relationship are minuscule, because there's like too many guys in amongst those, like, that have probably just blown her back out, and just, you know, and she's just not going to want to settle for less. She's not going to want to settle for less, and high value guys aren't going to want to get with girls with that high notch count.
Really, my point in saying that is that it's a preference someone has based on the decisions that the other person made. And I don't think that we should be guilt tripping people into caring or not caring. It's a personal preference, and I'm simply not okay with shaming someone based off of their preference. So, whether you care or whether you don't, that's totally up to you, and that's a personal decision. And I don't think we should be shaming each other for what we decide to do with our lives and with our bodies. You just simply don't have to be with a person that does that. If you're a guy who doesn't want to be with a girl that's slept
But for guys, it's not about, it's not, it's about rationale. It's about, it's about being smart. It's about being practical, because for the reasons I've just stated, like, that's why it matters for guys. It's because the chances of her being able to be loyal to you decrease, have like significant, with the more guys she has been with, her ability to be loyal to you and not have her eyes wander and be thinking about other guys become less and less the more guys she's been with, because of female hypergamy. They're like, that's the problem with women. Like, they're way, they never want to like settle. They never want to settle for something less. They don't want to punch, like, once they've had a taste that's why the whole dating market's so messed up, is because a lot of these women are getting to sleep with very high value men. Like, they're getting access to very high value men, rich, successful, handsome, all the above. But these women don't understand that it's just sex. It's not. These guys understand that, no, it's like, she's not dateable. She's certainly not marriageable material. She's just sex material. That's the cold hard truth. That is the cold hard truth about men. It's like, we're able to fuck. Someone said it to me. Who said it to me? I don't know. Did someone say it to me, or I heard it on some stream, or I saw it in some tweet? I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw some tweet, and it was like, one concept about men is that what women don't understand is men are able to fuck women that we hate. Like, if there's some hot woman but we hate her personality, we're still able to fuck her, no problem. No problem. We can hate a woman and still fuck her. Women don't understand that concept. Like, women don't. A woman, like, can't. A woman can't hate a man and still let her fuck let him fuck her. You know, but men can, because men can separate those two things. Um, Sex is sex at the end of the day. Um,
with a ton of people, that's fine. That's a preference. Leave it at that. But you also don't have to go around and shame the girls that decide to do that. You can just choose not to be with them. It's really as easy as that. And quite frankly, it's none of your business. So that's the first thing to consider. And obviously, it's the most important because it's such a personal preference, okay? That's the most important thing that I want you guys to realize. You don't have to feel the same way about it that your best friend does. Your best friend doesn't have to feel the same way that the neighbor down the street feels about it. So it really is a very personal thing. So don't feel bad for feeling the way that you feel about it. It's your preference and it's okay. Do you need to be mean to people because they think differently than you? No, we're going to have an open mind here. I always try to see things from both sides. I really try to be non judgmental unless it personally affects me. So, unless I am talking to someone and this affects my life, I don't really care what you do, you know? And the second point is that people can change. So, someone's past does not necessarily define their future, and we all have a past. Nobody is perfect. And I'm not even saying that you have to be okay with that, but just understand if your hesitation is because you think just because someone did something in the past that they're going to do it in the future, that's not.
The thing is, a woman's past does it does matter because it's like what says, like I said, what says if she's a big notch count, she's a high notch count. What says that notch count's going to stop with you? And the probability says it's not going to stop with you because the chances of you being her best are much less, or they're just less. Like, obviously as a man, every man should try to be striving to be the best. He's trying to be the best version of himself. But the reality is, there's, women are you're amongst the pool of you're probably going to be amongst the pool of other high value guys, so it's going to be hard to have been the best if she has a high notch count because women are hypergamous. They're only choosing the best guys. The reality, like if you're a guy that's having sex with a lot of girls, like in this current sexual marketplace, chances are you're a high value guy in some regard. In some regard, you're a high value guy, because there's most guys are not having sex. There's like vast majority of guys are not having sex, so you're going to be amongst the pool of other high value guys. So the chances of you have been her best are much less. Yeah, I'm just saying that if she's a high notch count. So that's why it's this personal preference. No, it's not a personal preference because women are hypergamous. They're not going to want to punch down. They're not going to want to settle for less. And that's why all these fucking hoes on dating apps punching, trying to think that they can score like a 6'6" CEO of some fucking company and that, it's going to take her on yachts and shit. Delusional bitches, man. Like delusional. They expect way too much. They're expecting way too much out of life. They're expecting way too much out of men. Like they're so like, these some of these women are fucking average as shit. Like even below average. Man, it's wild, man. Women are wildly entitled to like their expectations from life are like the irony of it is that their expectations are so high, but what they're going to end up is going to be so much less because they're like little greedy bitches, really. That's what's happening. Like they want the yacht, they want the 6'6" fucking like six pack abs, fucking model, he's a DJ, he's a fucking CEO. They want all this shit. But what they're gonna end up with is fucking 9 to 5 shite office work for the rest of their lives. That's the like and cats and box wine. Maybe they can't even have a cat because if they work so long in the office. Um yeah, so they're ending up with shit. Like way worse than if they like had reasonable expectations and punched within their range. So a girl that's a 5 gets a guy that's a 6. Now we have girls that are 5s trying to get 10s. Make no mistake about it, that's what's happening. Like we have fucking 4s and 5s punching for 10s. The funny thing is sometimes they're getting laid with these women are having sex with like these women are having sex with guys that are way above their league. I've done my research, guys. I've done my research. Sometimes I get into it with girls. I mean, I did my research from online dating too. I remember asking a girl, like, on a dating app. She was a solid 5, I would say. And I had no intention of meeting her, but I was trying to just like, do my research and figure out like what's this girl about, you know. And I got into it when I was like, what's the what's the last guy you met? And she was like, oh, and she told me he was like a 6'6", CEO, and he took her, he did this, that, and the other. And out of curiosity, I was like, send me his photo. I want to see what this guy looks like. And this, if she was telling the truth, this guy was like a solid 10. And on top of that, she said he was like a CEO. And this girl was a solid 5. Solid 5. And she was getting with this guy that was way fucking out of her league. And of course, he was just banging her. But it's just, I've this is happening. This is happening a lot. Like really fucking average girls are getting with guys that are way out of their league. But it's only sex. Of course, it's only sex. But these women don't get that. Um,
Always the case, and people can change for the better, and whether you want to give them the benefit of the doubt is totally up to you. But just understand that if someone does something, it doesn't mean they're like going to be like that forever. There are plenty of people who are alcoholics and then they get the help that they need and they live the rest of their life happy and healthy and they never drink again. Or there are people who cheated on a girlfriend when they were young and made a huge mistake and would never cheat again. So just understand that people can change. Someone's past sexual history does not 100% guarantee their future sexual experiences. Of course, it can sometimes, and I'm sure some of you have had experiences with that. If someone was more promiscuous in the past, then maybe they will be in the future. That could definitely be a thing, but it's not always the case. And if someone's past sexual history is a deal breaker to you,
it's just not true though, is it? Like, I mean, if a girl if a girl has gone down the road of like S&M and getting like all this crazy sex, she's not she's not going to be able to go back to vanilla sex, right? She's just not. It's in a way, sex is kind of like a drug. You can't really you can't really go back like to you know their tastes are going to be, it's just going to be hard. A girl that's been getting her back blown out, who's getting being, had huge dicks, all kinds of shit, um gotten tied up, gotten spanked and all that shit. She can't go back having sex with a nice guy. She can't. She just can't do it. She's not going to get off to it. She's just not, you know. She's just really not. She's not going to get off to that. So that's why it's like, her past does. That's why a woman's past really does matter. It really does. It really does. Like, you're gonna end up. That's how guys end up getting cucked. Like literally, like they literally end up getting fucking cucked. Because what happens is a nice guy gets into a relationship with a girl that has way more sexual experience than him. And what happens is, they start, they have a few glasses of wine. She starts opening up. She starts talking about her ex and how good he was in bed, and literally, like guys will get cucked from dating girls that have way more sexual experience than them. That's why you should really be careful as a man about catching feelings for girls that have way more sexual experience than you as a man. Like, that's that should never be the case. If you're getting into a relationship with a girl, that should never be the case. Your girlfriend should never have way more sexual experience than you. But too many guys, it's happening. Too many guys. Guys don't understand how detrimental, how dangerous that is, how seriously psychologically damaging it is. Like how much trauma it's going to cause you as a man down the line when you realize that you're not like she's having like sexual desires for other men and shit. God damn, it'll fuck with your head, man. It'll really fuck with your head. Like, if you find out that the woman you love, like that you've like invested in, is like, having fucking fantasies about other men and exes, um and like, wanting to get fucking bigger dicks, and like, dude, it'll fuck with you. Don't This is why you can't. You have to find, like, when you're finding marriage material, like what girlfriend material, like any kind of relationship material, she has to be somewhat like pure. She doesn't have to be a virgin. Like it's going to be really hard to find that, but she has to have a pretty low notch count. Like honestly, the lower the notch count, the better. Like really, for relationship, if that's what you want, if you want a relationship, it has to be a low notch count, or at the very like if she has a high notch count, you have to be your best. Like if you're not, this is how like there's no room. Like if you're not her best, it's gonna cause problems. This is how like it sounds like strict. Oh, it's gonna be seriously. I mean it. Like if you're not her best, it's gonna cause problems. It's gonna cause problems down the line. It's gonna she's gonna start thinking about him or even one guy that was better than you. That's a problem. Like even like, and I'm talking about sexually. If there was one guy that was better in bed than you, like in the past, and you're in a relationship with her, that's a problem. It is. Oh, you're insecure. Oh, small dick energy. Oh, fuck you. No, it is. It's a problem because they're going to be more likely to cheat. They are. It just is. Um,
You. Again, that's a preference and it's totally up to you. We all have deal breakers and preferences, and if you, quite frankly, don't want to be with someone that has slept with 300 people, well, that's okay. And you most certainly don't have to, and you shouldn't feel shamed into thinking that you're wrong for thinking that way. And I would say the same thing on the opposite perspective. If you're a guy who doesn't care about that, then that's okay. It's your preference. Number 3, and this is one that I see a lot in my comment section, and that is don't be a hypocrite. And I would tell you not to be a hypocrite about everything, not just someone's sexual past. And let me give you a little example here to make it make more sense. If you're a guy that has slept with 300 people and you're demanding that the person that you're with is a virgin, that doesn't really add up. If it doesn't matter for you, then I really don't think it should matter for her either. And I think it's something that you kind of have to look.
oh yeah, so I've already talked about this before, but this is yeah. The point is, men and women are not the same. That's why it's not hypocrisy because we're not the same. Men and women are not the same. We're not equal things. We're not. Oh, I know this is fucking double dutch to to most people that I think most people listening to this are pretty red pill, but anyone anyone outside of the red pill sphere, if I said that, they think I'm nuts. They think I'm, oh, you're misogynist. Oh, you're so hateful. Oh, you think you're part of patriarchy and all this shit. Like no, like 100%. Men and women are not the same. We're not. Do you understand? Like a bunch of 14-year-old boys beat the world the world champion female world champion soccer players. How like if a bunch of 14-year-old boys can beat the world, the world cup women champions, yeah, like, I mean, clearly we're not equal, right? We're not the same, and that's fine. We both have different attributes. We're different, you know. But yeah, so that's why it's not women can get pregnant, men can't. I mean, it's like it's fucking obvious. That's why it's not the same. Like a man can have three. I could go out and have 300 kids, 300 different women in a year. I could. A woman can have one child a year. One. She can give birth to one child a year. And like if she didn't have a man to, to fend for her, to go and get her, you look after her, she would have died. She would have died. If a woman didn't have a tribe, like if a woman didn't have a tribe of people, a family to look after her while she's pregnant, she would die. She would die. Like there's no doubt about it. She would actually die. She would not be able to fend for herself. That women become completely helpless when they're pregnant. They need like even in the modern world. So like have you ever seen a pregnant woman? They can't really do that much, right? They can barely move, right? You know what I mean? Like if it's just it's not rocket science. It's common sense. So it's like this whole thing of hypocrisy. No, we're not the same. We're completely different. This idea that we're the same. Oh, men and women desire sex equally. We're both sexual. No, it's just like all cap. It's all bullshit. No, we're just like we operate in completely different ways. If we were the exact same, there wouldn't be so much like strife between the sexes. But there's so much strife and controversy and arguments and shit because we're so different. We're different. We want different things. Like a man going out on a date and getting sex is him succeeding. A woman going out on a date and getting and fleecing the guy and getting him to pay for dinner and buy her gifts and all this shit. That's her winning. Like there's different strategies at play, you know?
Look at as an equal playing field. So if you aren't okay with your partner doing it, you shouldn't be doing it either. And I know people will say, well, men do this and women do this, and men don't get as attached, and men, biologically have whatever. And I totally understand it from a biological standpoint, but also we're in 2021 now, and I don't think it's fair to judge someone else for doing something that you do all the time. It would be like me getting on here and saying, women who wear makeup are the most disgusting people on earth. You should never date a girl that wears makeup. And here I am wearing makeup. That would be hypocritical of me. It would be wrong of me. And I simply just wouldn't do that. So practice what you preach. If you don't want to be with a girl that has slept with a ton of people, then you should also not be sleeping with a ton of people. So whatever the situation looks like, just
Cap, bullshit. We're not the same. A man can sleep with a bunch of women, and the only consequence could be STDs. But psychologically, it does not damage a man to sleep with a lot of women. It just doesn't. You know, it just doesn't. Like it's because it does. It's just a natural thing for a man to want to do. Every straight man feels it. Every straight man with regular levels of testosterone goes out about his daily business, sees a hot girl, doesn't even need to know her name, and he'll have a desire to fuck her. You know what I mean? He doesn't even care about what her name is really. Like, you know what I mean? And he can have a strong desire to have sex with her, like to be incredibly intimate with her, and yet he doesn't have any desire to date her either, but so it's just completely different, um really is.
understand that you shouldn't be a hypocrite about it. And I know that there are a ton of double standards in society, and this is definitely one of them. I think male promiscuity is more accepted than women promiscuity. And I'm not even saying that I agree with it. I don't agree with it. I don't think hookup culture is good for anyone. I have never been a part of that. I've never had a one night stand, and I want no business in that area of life. So trust me, I don't agree with it. And again, here, I'm really trying to be as objective as possible, but from an outside perspective looking in, I don't think it's fair to be a hypocrite, and I don't think it's okay that one person can do something and another person can't. If you're saving yourself for marriage,
Okay, what would be hypocrisy if I was to say to another man, if I said to another man, yo, you cannot, like, you should not sleep with a lot of women, you should not, you should only, like, you should only sleep with girls that you're dating, and I, in the meanwhile, I'm gonna live the player lifestyle, I'm gonna bang all these women. That's hypocrisy. That is hypocrisy. But the reason it's not hypocrisy when I say it to a woman is because men and women are not the same. We don't operate on the same playing field. We're not the same. So that's why it's not hypocrisy. That's why it's not. Like, it's not. It's just not. And it's a really difficult concept for women to understand. And they don't like it, but you know, at the end of the day, they deep down they know it's true. Deep down, they innately they know it's true. And I'm not saying it's a comfortable truth. It's not a nice truth. It might seem unfair, but they know it's true, and that's why, like, women have a natural guard up around sex. Like, even in today's day and age, even today's, like, liberated, like, it's like, yeah, boss bitch, they got their OnlyFans, they got all, like, sexually liberated, like, they can wear, like, sexy clothes out and about. They can't, instead of being called hookers, they're called, like, sugar babies. It's all like, everything's like, the world we live in, it's all about protecting the female image. And they can be hookers, but it gets dressed up as this nice little cute name like sugar babies and things like that. So it's just it's just a funny little world we live in. You know, women can go into workplaces wearing mini skirts and high heels and say that it's just fashion. Meanwhile, it causes like internal strife for men. Like that's another thing that it's a whole different topic, but you know, that's why like Islam is very kind of based. Like that's one thing I like. I kind of like I'm not a Muslim. I'm not, but it's one thing that I think is very that Muslims understand about human definitely understand about human nature is that like how much like a woman's image like affects a man. And it's kind of a cold hard truth, but like a woman's body like has a lot of power over a man, like a lot of like it's to say it's distracting is an understatement. Like it really is when you see as a man, as a straight man, when you see a woman like scantily clad, like wearing like revealing clothes, it's like short mini skirt and her high heels or like cleavage, it's like it's completely and utterly like distracting. I mean, it's like a magnet. It's like you're drawn to it like a magnet, literally like a magnet. Like it's and then this whole like the whole like ridiculousness of the world Western world we live in, where it's like, oh, if you look at a girl that's like that, you're harassing her, you're being inappropriate. Yet she's the one that's wearing the revealing clothes. She's the one that's like putting her body on display, that men are naturally attracted to, that men are completely and utterly like drawn to. Like it's there's nothing weird about it. There's nothing creepy about it. It's just like it's I said it before. It's like throwing meat into a lion's den and then being surprised when the lions like eat the meat. It's like, oh, what do you? Oh my god, the lions are eating the meat. Oh, how dare they? Oh my god, like fucking bastards. It's stupid. Like we live in a stupid world, man. Where I don't know. It's just bizarre, but I don't know where I really stand on it, because I do like, of course, I certainly enjoy female fashion. I enjoy seeing their sexy bodies and stuff. But at the same time, I do understand that it's really distracting. Like for girls to dress like that in a workplace, and like to be like where it's just like it can be very like it can be hard to just operate without you with because men are already thinking about sex. We're already like we're kind of like we're constantly thinking about sex basically. And if there's a woman that's like scantily clad in your workplace, man, it's just gonna be make it so much harder to fucking do work, isn't it? But yeah, you can't say that anymore because that's like, oh, that's sexist. Oh my god, you're a sexist pig. How dare you?
marriage and it's incredibly important to you that the person you're with is a virgin or hasn't been with anyone else and you also haven't been with anyone else, then that's totally fine and that makes complete sense. And you're not being a hypocrite for that. Even if maybe you've done something in the past, and I understand that men and women are biologically different. I totally understand that from a science perspective. I get it, but I also don't think that sexual promiscuity is healthy or good for anybody. And I would not tell men or women to do that. And I also wouldn't shame women and then tell men that it's totally fine to do it. I think it's important to not be a hypocrite and to be the person you want to attract. So if you want to be with someone who hasn't slept with a ton of people, maybe you should rethink how many people you're sleeping with. And another point that I wanted to
What she's doing is she's projecting. She's projecting, like she understands herself that it's bad for women to sleep around, and she's not really hitting on the points that I said. She's not talking about why it's bad. She's not mentioning that. But yeah, she's projecting because she doesn't understand. God bless her little soul. But she doesn't understand that men and women. Well, she did say that she understands that men and women are biologically different. We are, and that's why it's a completely different thing. We are biologically different. We are biologically different. I stand by my statement before when I said a man can have a really high notch count, and other than catching like the danger of catching STDs, it's not going to be psychologically damaging for a man to fuck a lot of women. It's just not. It just doesn't like. Like I said earlier, in it, it can it'll even boost a man's confidence. It'll boost his ego. It'll make him. It's like because biologically speaking, as a man, if you're having sex with a lot of women, you're winning. You're winning in life. Like seriously, in history, like all throughout history, evolutionarily speaking, as a man, if you're having sex with a lot of women, you're fucking winning. Okay, it's like, that's in past times only kings did that shit. Like seriously, literally only kings, conquerors had the opportunity to sleep with that many women. Seriously, like it's if you're a man like in a top 10%, and you're living a player lifestyle, you're kind of living like a king in terms of sex life. Like normal people didn't have the opportunity to live like that. Like no way. So like it's only the most successful men had the opportunity to bang that many women. And why did the kings and Genghis Khans and people like that sleep with so many women? Because it's like it's like the most desirable thing for a man. You know.
To bring up is that I've seen a lot of people say that you shouldn't even ask the person that you're with how many people they've been with. And as someone who is incredibly nosy and curious about this because I care about it, I think it's okay to ask as long as you're okay with hearing the answer. So don't ask a question that you don't want to hear the answer to. So if you know you're a person that can't deal with this and you don't care, then maybe just don't ask. And just being totally transparent, I have always been a person that asks because I care about the answer. I personally would not want to be with a guy that had slept with 300 girls. It would just be a sign to me that our values and morals do not align, and it would be a huge red flag for me. So,
Here's a little piece about notch count. When it comes to notch count, like, um, whenever a girl asks you about your notch count, you never tell them. You never tell. You don't need to tell them. If you're a guy that has a notch count of 300 girls, and you've counted it, first of all, you know it's not it's kind it sounds kind of lame if you've counted like I don't even count my notch count. I always like, in one sense I kind of regret not counting it because it was like I am actually genuinely curious, but in another sense I've the reason I remember I stopped counting like when it was like in somewhere in the 30s, because I was like I just thought it was kind of lame. I just kind of the idea of like keeping track, keeping score, writing them down, and like I just thought it was lame, and I still kind of do. And it's fine if you want to like if it's fine for guys that want to keep notch counts, like exact numbers and like dates and times. It's like it's fine. Okay, do your thing. Do your thing. It's fine. It's fine. But personally, I think it's kind of lame. But anyway, uh, yeah, but the reason I think it's lame is because it's like it's not about numbers. It's actually not about numbers. It's about wanting to fuck hawk. It's about wanting to fuck girls. Like it's about wanting to have sex. Yeah, that's what it should be about. Like, and it's not about the numbers. Like it's not about, oh, I banged like 5 girls this week. Oh, I'm like, oh my god, I got my numbers down. It's like it just sounds lame. I don't know. You don't need to do it, but yeah, but when it comes to if a girl ever asks you about your notch count, you never tell them. And the way I always deal with it, if a girl asks me my notch count, I'll never she'll never get a straight answer. First of all, I don't know a straight answer, but I'll always like really exaggerate it. She'll be like, "Oh, so how many girls have you slept with?" And I'll say, "Oh, I've been with like, oh my god, I can't even count." And it's funny because it's true, but I'll be like, "Oh my god, I don't know, I've been with 10 girls this week. I've maybe 10,000." I'll just amplify it, and I won't give them a straight answer. And you shouldn't don't give them a straight answer. Don't tell them.
personally, I would not want to be with someone that had slept with that many people, but you might be different. And if you're not the same as me, that's okay. We're all allowed to have preferences. So now I want to talk about hookup culture. So, just to define it before I get into it, a hookup culture is one that accepts and encourages casual sex encounters, including one night stands and other related activity, without necessarily including emotional intimacy, bonding, or a committed relationship. It has also been called non-relationship sex or sex without dating. This might work for some people, but just to put it simply, it doesn't work for me. I think there are a ton of negatives that come along with hookup culture that society chooses to ignore because it's been so glamorized and like idolized, and for the life of me, I can't begin to understand it. But I believe if something is being encouraged or promoted, then the negatives and the consequences that come along with whatever it is should be highlighted as well. The same way that OnlyFans has been so glamorized in society and social media, nobody wants to talk about the negatives. And if you talk
The thing is, it's not a hookup culture for men. It's a hookup culture for women, and that's another reason why relationships and marriage is collapsing. It boils down to women hooking up with all these guys and then not wanting to punch down. That's in a nutshell. That's my hot take on the current state of the sexual marketplace. It's so simple. That's honestly what I believe. I believe it boils down to something that simple. It's basically women are hooking up with guys, getting with guys that are way out of their league for the most part, and then they're not willing to settle down. They're not willing to they have too many guys that have blown their backs out, and then they're not willing to settle for a guy that's kind of beta, a guy that kind of willing to be in a relationship with her, that's willing to stick it out with her. She's not willing to be with that guy because he's he doesn't have that fucking he's not able to blow her back out like the Chad was from that the Tinder, from the home delivery she sent herself on. It's a cold hard truth, and that's honestly, it sounds very simplified, but I genuinely believe that's why there's this like big discrepancy, this big polarization. um
talk about the negatives, then you're a pick me girl or you hate sex workers. And it's just like this whole big thing that isn't even true. It's just making sure that people are educated before they do something. And I think the same thing is happening with hookup culture. People are doing it thinking it's the cool thing to do because it is so glamorized in society. And, people tell everyone to sleep around and you don't want to be with the same guy forever. You want to have a different sex partner every weekend. And again, that might work for some people, but I'm not into it. And I think it does a heck of a lot more damage than good. Embracing your sexuality and your sexual freedom is incredibly important, but that just means you have the ability to choose your partners. It doesn't mean that you should choose everybody. If you're someone who likes to have multiple sexual partners, that's totally fine and that's up to you, but just make sure that you're educated about it and you know the negatives that can come along with it as well. The main thing that I hate to see is people doing it for the wrong reasons. Thinking it's cool or thinking it's empowering because someone on the internet told you it was. This is where I have a problem with it, and I think that a lot of girls are doing this, and men. I think a lot of people are doing this and then end up feeling really empty and unhappy because they've just had a bunch of meaningless sex with a ton of people and there was no emotional connection there or emotional intimacy. And when you have so many
I think the reason there's so much problems between men and women is because men and women are different, right? And you're applying rules to two different things that are different. So what happens is it just doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out well when that happens. So like the reason women they're struggling and having so much problems and suffering from depression and everything is because women have been told we live in this like so-called liberated society, but it's actually a fucking fascist society that we're living in pretty much. The new world order is trying to lock us all up, put us all in our fucking little fucking home cells. But you're applying these rules to women that tells them, you can live like a man, you can sleep around, you do all this, that, and the other. And it's like this is fine for men, but it's not fine for women, and that's why women are, it's messing them up. Because society isn't acknowledging society has come around to not acknowledge the difference between men and women, and it's obsessed. The new world order is obsessed to with removing any difference between a man and a woman, but it's like it's impossible to do because we're just different, you know. Um,
Any meaningless hookups, it leaves you feeling empty and unfulfilled. And the reason why it does that is because you're not fulfilling your need for human connection. You might be connecting physically, but you're not connecting emotionally or mentally. So, women specifically really need that emotional connection. I think this is one area where men and women are very different, and that's just the way that it is. So, a man might be able to sleep with a ton of women and feel no attachment to any of them and be totally okay with it, while a woman might do that and feel really horrible. And not because she should feel horrible, but because she feels unfulfilled and unhappy and empty afterwards. Having a meaningful connection is far more powerful and empowering than a meaningless hookup. For most people, I want to emphasize that here. There are some people who are totally fine with sleeping with a ton of partners and bouncing from one person to the next and never having a commitment there. There are people who thrive that way and who live their life like that and have no issues. However, I don't think that it's the majority, and I think a lot of people are lying to themselves. So, of course, there are exceptions, but I do think that a lot of people are lying to themselves about this, again, because they want to feel cool or they think it's empowering, when in reality, it's not. Hookup culture has also impacted the way that people view intimacy and commitment in an
I heard someone describe the way a woman becomes attached to a man as sticky tape, and it's basically, the first time a woman has sex with a man, the guy she loses her virginity to, she can become attached to him the most. So that once you apply the sticky tape, you know, to a surface, it's strong. It sticks to it well. But every time with every new partner, she takes off the sticky tape. You know, applies it to a new guy, but it's not as it's not as it doesn't stick as well the second time. It's kind of like there's some dust on it. It doesn't. It's just it sticks, but it's not as strong. And then the third time, pull it off, stick it to another surface. It gets weaker and weaker. I thought it was a very good analogy. It makes a lot of sense. And it's quite true. Um, Hubert says, as if you could get intimacy from girls these days. Um, well, I mean, you can get sexual intimacy, but you know,
incredibly negative way. When you can't distinguish if something is meaningful or if it's just supposed to be casual, people end up being very confused. And I think hookup culture is cultivating this between men and women. So maybe a man and woman will have casual hookups, and then the woman gets attached and she wants something more meaningful, but she doesn't know if the guy wants it to be more meaningful. And it just creates a ton of confusion, often leads to bitterness and resentment, and ultimately a bunch of things that just are not good. Sadly, when I was in college, I watched a lot of my friends go through this, and it negatively impacted their mental health and also the level of commitment to their future partners. I have never had a one night stand or been into the hookup culture thing, and watching my friends go through this and how miserable they were was enough for me to know I never, ever wanted to be a part of that, because they're selling you a lie, quite simply. But again, that's just how I feel about it, and no judgment from me if you are someone that is into hookup culture or you find pleasure out of, casual hookups and sex and all of that. It's none of my business. What you do with your body is not my business, and I don't want to seem judgmental. That is the last thing I want to be. I'm just trying to have an open mind. So while I always try to see everything with a very open mind, that doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to have an opinion on it. And as someone who has watched my friends go down a horrible spiral because of hookup culture, I can say with confidence that I don't think that hookup culture is a good thing. Now, does that mean that I'm not going to be your friend or judge you?
I think the times we live in benefit in terms of the sexual marketplace. It's basically only beneficial to the top percentage of men, so top 10 to 20% of men, because for everyone else, like it basically, because it's guys in the top 10 to 20% can have a lot of sexual access to a lot of women, and that's like I mean, who doesn't want that as a man? So, but for the rest of the guys that want, all guys want sexual access to women, but um, for the guys that want to find, a relationship with a girl, um, you know, and maybe they're not in the top 10 to 20%, that's a problem because there's all the guys that have come before them are going to affect the girl that they want to date. They're going to affect her ability to be loyal to him, basically. And that's a cold hard truth. It really is, because like I said, if there were guys that were better, and there might have been quite a few guys that have been better than him in the past sexually, then that's going to be a big issue, and you're setting yourself up to literally get cooked. Like, you're setting yourself up for big problems. You're setting yourself up for her cheating in the future. Like, it's just all kinds of terrible shit. Um, Shit that really does happen out there. Like, guys get into committed relationships with girls, and like it's how you get feelings for the girls. They end up loving the girl, maybe marrying her, and then they find out, she's off, she's on dating apps, she's getting dicked down by some fucking Chad. You might think I'm joking, but this shit really does happen, and it really can fuck guys up like really bad, like blue pill guys, like fuck them up really bad. Like, imagine like you're in love with a girl, you've invested in her, you've spent all this time with her, you know, you're living with her, you find out she's going around getting raw dogged by some guy that could kick the shit out of you. You know what I mean? Imagine, like, seriously, this, like, some guy that's just like physically better than you, like can mess you up. Like, not only can he kick the fucking shit out of you, he's dicking your girl down, raw dogging her, like making her come, doing all this shit. Like, this is why this is why you need a good girl for relationships. This is why, because you can't be dealing with these girls that have had all these guys before you. You can't. You can't be doing it. It's a risk. You're asking for trouble. You're gonna set yourself up for some psychological trauma, like finding out that your girl has sexual fantasies about guys that could fucking, yeah, outperform you and shit. So that's why you need to be very fucking selective about the girls that you are willing to catch feelings for. You really do, and like, it's a choice. It really is. Like, catching feelings for girls is actually a choice. Like, it's a complete choice. It's not something that just happens. Catching feelings for girls, is like, and if you just let it happen, that's weakness. Like, it's pure weakness. It's like, oh, she's so sweet, she's so no. You decide. You decide to either catch feelings for a girl or not.
You because you hooked up with a bunch of people. No, I don't ever want to come across as judgmental. I, again, am very open minded and we can disagree and still be friends, right? We don't have to agree on everything. It's okay if we think of things differently. I can have different preferences and opinion than you, and we can still get along and be civil. But for me, I just knew this was something that I never wanted to participate in, and I would recommend all of you not to do it as well because I care about you. We're all different, and it's okay that we don't agree on everything. That is why I talk so much on my channel about the importance of finding a partner who has values, morals.
Understand that she's trying to speak to both men and women here, but no, she should only be speaking to women here, because it's important that men and women are not. Yeah, I've already hit on that so many times. I think you get the point. I'm gonna stop sharing this now, but yeah, it's yeah, women should not partake. If women should not partake in this, in the hookup culture. Like, and it's funny because I'm living the player lifestyle, but I'm just taking advantage of the world we live in. Like, why would I not? Like, it's, as a man, I desire to, my natural instinct, my natural desire is to have sex with a lot of women. So why would I not? Why would I not do it? I'm gonna do it. Um, Men go fishing with a net, and women go fishing with a pole. Like, we just like throw the net out, we pull the net, we just want to bang all the women, right? But women go looking for the biggest. They just want to catch a good fish, like a good fish. That's what they want. But the problem is, women are going and catching too many fucking too many good fish. That's what's happening. You know, they're catching too many big fish, and it's a problem. It's a real fucking problem for guys down the line that get into relationships with them. Real guys setting them up for some real psychological fucking trauma, man. You know, that's why some guys off themselves. Like seriously, like I'm not even exaggerating. Some guys like do all kinds of crazy whacked out shit because they find out the woman they love, the woman that they do terrible shit, man. That's some guys blue pill guy. The blue pill can totally fuck guys up, man. Like because they end up investing in a woman and they don't know that she's a really high notch count. She's been with all these guys. He gets into a relationship with her, and he finds out she's cheating, and he does something terrible. I don't know. He self deletes or he deletes her or something terrible. But that's why you gotta be very selective as a man. Because you're just not smart to invest in a chick that has a really high notch count. Because like I said, the laws of probability say that notch count is probably not going to stop with you. um yeah, so but so probably gonna cut it. But like, comment, subscribe. YouTube, man. YouTube fucking YouTube definitely is suppressing my content. I did an experiment on one of my last stream where I checked you know I checked the likes on it, and it was like 14. So I have a bunch of other YouTube accounts. So I was like, 14, that seems, fuck, man, that's kind of low. It's kind of pissing me off. So I went in and I liked it with my other YouTube accounts just to like see, because if it's like being held at 14, and and I asked my friend to do the same. And it should have been like, after we did that, it should have been up near 20 likes. And guess what? The very next we did that, it went up to 20. The very next day, back to 14. Like seriously, like we liked the fucking video with our other accounts. That's just like as an experiment to see, like, if because it's like shit, like fuck. I have like a thousand subscribers on YouTube, so I wanted to check. I swear to God, like it should have been up near 20. I think it was like 21 likes after. Still, fuck all. I want to get it higher than this shit, but still fuck all likes. But anyway, wanted to get it higher. Um, and next day back to 14, back to even after I liked my own video, like how clicking like. So fuck you, help me out, fucking, I don't know, and maybe algorithm, comment on it, share it on Twitter, wherever it is. But the algorithm doesn't like this content. They don't like it. It's probably shadow banned. But what can you do? It's annoying though. It actually fucking is annoying. It's annoying putting out this content and getting like shadow ban. But it's all good. So I'll be back. If you want to check out when I'm doing live streams, check my Instagram. I usually like put some advance notice on there. But it's usually Monday 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're not on my email list, go to macthedaygamer.com, put in your best email. And we can stay up to date there. But until next time, guys, peace out. Have a good one. Bye bye.